Good morning and welcome to today's coffee talk from Planet Fair. As we do every Friday, we're going to be talking for exactly 8 minutes over this cup of coffee about the fastest ways to get to Planet Fair. I'm Henrike von Platen and I'm talking with my friend
Margrét Bjarnadóttir.
It's so great to see you again.
Likewise.
I've had a really crazy week, and I suppose you had one too. And I have a white paper I want to ask you something about. I know that I need to read it in detail, but I've sort of just overflown it. And it's the one named "There Are No Colorless Models in a Colorful World." And I know everybody should just read it, but could you give me your best insights on it?
Sure. No, absolutely. It's actually one of my favorite papers. And it's a white paper, so it's easy to read. But what that title, so there are no colorless models in a colorful world, is really pointing to is that when we build AI models in HR, it's not simply about removing demographic factors from our data. So, removing gender, removing race, and all of a sudden you will have these balanced, well-functioning AI models that can help you automate all your processes. So that's where, that title was getting at. So the paper is really about how to apply AI successfully in HR. So when we think about organizations and how kind of AI and data analytics have been really revolutionizing every aspect of the organization, HR was a little bit set to the side, like in a corner with standard reports and maybe Excel models, and that's how business was done. But that has been changing really fast in the couple of few years, and there's a lot of innovation happening in HR tech, automating screening of candidates, etc. So really what this paper is about is a little bit of a warning about we can't just take the modeling processes that we did when we were determining, which ketchup to put on sale, also mathematical models, but less critical because the decisions that these models are supporting within the HR department, they can change people's lives, right? So who gets hired or who gets a promotion or who is, identified as a, future manager. These are life-changing decisions. So the way that we make them and the way we use data has to be done in a more mindful way than when determining which ketchup to put on sale.
Yeah, there's so much discussion about this AI also being like built by men but for women and men, but it's in the end built only for men. Or like I remember also I once visited a factory where they built new pieces, new bones and stuff for people that have issues. And they told a story about what they did, and it didn't work. Some kind of bone stuff didn't work on women. They always had issues until they figured out, oh, we should have thought about that women and men are maybe not the same. So this is an argument I hear often concerning AI as well. Is that sort of inside what you were just describing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, being from a data background, right? We have kind of always thought, oh, I have a problem, so I will take my data and then I'll do some modeling and I have then a predicted outcome and I will apply that to support our decision making. And it's like this process on the surface is really objective. We just take the data and we do mathematical things and then we get an outcome. What we have since learned, and the field has since learned, is that it's not that simple. So just to give you one example, there's now a lot of these infamous stories in the HR tech field. I think the most famous one is when Amazon built their CV screening tool. So they were screening for, candidates to hire. And that tool, it was built in an objective manner, but it screened out women. And the reason is why did it behave that? Like to the degree that the algorithm was screening out like phrases, if your CV contained a phrase like women's chair of the chess club or something, like crazy, right?
Yeah.
But why did it happen? It happened because this tool was built on past information about successful engineers at Amazon. Well, who are the past successful employees at Amazon in their engineering department? Well, it's dominated by male. So if you just then build your model on this data, then even if we try to build the model as well as we can, the outcome will be biased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How to build? Actually, the question would be how to build models for the future without bias using old data.
Yep. And that's what my paper is about. No, yeah, and I think one of the you always have your favorite phrases in these papers, and one of my favorite phrases from this or sentences from this paper is that we have to realize that our data, our HR data, reflects the past and is not the future we are trying to build. So when we think about the data analytics process or the AI process, we need to expand upon it. We need to understand, okay, what is it that my data does not capture? And a priori determine, okay, how is that then going to, influence this whole process, right? If I know my data is, lacking women, how am I going to account for it? And we have seen in the last 8 years or so, we have seen an explosion in tools that you can use to monitor your tools. So, there's a thing called biased dashboards where you can look at, okay, let's say we're building a model to identify, candidates for management programs or something. We can, build into that decision-making process a biased dashboard that just tells us, okay, what fraction of men are you identifying? What fraction of women? What type of errors are we making so that moving forward?
Pointing out,
Yeah.
I like that. We need to put this on the bottom of the talk. There are no colorless models in a colorful world. I love the title. And the content seems to be especially great as well. So I'm going to now read it not only from corner to corner, but word by word. Promised. And I can maybe tell you next week or the week after, depending if I have the same favorite sentence.
That sounds good. Yeah.
And I think what we also will have I'm not sure if it's going to be next week or the week after, but just like as a little show what's going to be coming, we're going to have our next guest speaker very soon. So I do look forward to that one, leaving it open as a surprise.
Yeah.
Who it's going to be.
I'm very excited about this guest. Yes.
Well, then I would say my coffee is nearly empty. 8 minutes are over, I believe.
Yep.
I will see you next week.
Yeah. Have a good Friday.
You too.
Bye.